The applause was thunderous, the kind that rattled your chest and lingered in your ears long after it faded. Cameras flashed as Sergeant Daniel Harper stood on stage, his uniform crisp, his medals gleaming. The announcer's voice echoed, listing acts of courage that sounded almost unreal, running through gunfire, pulling wounded men from a burning vehicle, holding a collapsing position. To the nation watching, Daniel Harper was a hero. To many, he was destined for fame. But as the ceremony ended, Daniel felt only a quiet discomfort. He shook hands, forced a polite smile, and nodded when people thanked him for his service. Inside, something felt wrong. The story being told about him felt polished, hollow, and incomplete. Daniel grew up in a small town in Ohio. His parents taught him simple values: do your job, help others, and don't make a big deal out of yourself. He enlisted in the army at 19, not for glory, but for purpose. Combat taught him lessons no speech ever could. He learned that bravery didn't feel heroic. It felt like doing what had to be done because someone else depended on you. And he learned that survival was often just a matter of chance. The mission that made him famous was one he rarely thought about in detail. His unit had been ambushed. Everything went wrong at once. The radio went silent. Smoke filled the air. Daniel moved because stopping meant dying. He dragged a wounded friend behind cover, then went back again and again, ignoring the pain in his own leg. By the time it was over, several soldiers were alive who shouldn't have been. That was the version people loved to hear. What they didn't see were the faces of those who didn't make it back. What they didn't hear were the nights Daniel woke up soaked in sweat, replaying every second, wondering if he could have done more. When the military began pushing him into the spotlight, Daniel resisted. Interviews turned into speaking tours, endorsements, and book offers. A publicist told him, "This is your moment." People need heroes. Daniel nodded, but the word hero felt heavy. He knew men braver than him who would never stand on a stage. After one televised interview, Daniel visited the parents of a soldier from his unit who had been killed in that same ambush. They welcomed him into their modest home. The father shook his hand and said, "We see you on TV a lot. You deserve it." That night, Daniel sat alone in his hotel room and stared at his reflection. He realized the attention wasn't helping him heal. It was turning a shared sacrifice into a single face. So Daniel made a decision that shocked everyone. He declined the book deal. He canceled the speaking tour. He stepped away from the spotlight. Headlines questioned his motives. Some said he was ungrateful. Daniel didn't respond. He quietly took off his dress uniform and returned home. Back in Ohio, Daniel enrolled in college using his GI Bill and studied social work. On weekends, he volunteered at a local veterans center, sitting with men and women who carried the same invisible weight he did. He listened more than he spoke. Years passed. Daniel became a counselor, helping veterans navigate nightmares, guilt, and anger. He never introduced himself as a decorated soldier. To him, that part of his life was not a badge, it was a responsibility. One evening, a young veteran asked him, "Why didn't you use your fame? You could have been rich." Daniel thought for a moment, then answered honestly, "Because fame is loud," he said. And some things like pain and healing need quiet. Daniel Harper never disappeared. He simply chose a different path. While the world moved on to the next headline, he continued his work, unseen and uncelebrated, helping others rebuild their lives one conversation at a time. And in that quiet far from the applause, the soldier finally found the peace he had been searching for all along. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more.